This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998, Christopher Mitchell, 212th Trooper, Sylar 1610, and Papa Podo. We pick back up with Ash and friends on the way to Ecruteak City, in the site of Ash's 4th Johto gym battle, though before that can happen, our young hero must first save an old man's life, as out of nowhere he spots a wild Tauros charging towards the oblivious old-timer. Having experienced stopping this species in their tracks, Primeape is the natural choice for this problem, as bursting from its ball, it quite literally takes the bull by the horns, lifting it into the air, and then suplexing it for a decisive knockout. By now the old man has caught on to what is happening, and so watches this display of martial prowess with interest before exhibiting surprising spryness as he walks over and grasps Ash's hand, stating that it looks like he has found his successor at last. Completely baffled by the man's meaning, Ash asks what the old-timer is talking about, and seeing the source of the confusion, he explains that his name is Kenzo, and he's the master or Shihan of a local dojo. Unfortunately, his retirement is drawing near, but he is without an heir to his martial arts legacy, so now he wants Ash and that exceptional Primeape to take his place for the good of his students. Unfortunately, it seems that this is less of a request than it is a demand, as when the boy attempts to explain his own dreams, he is hastily dragged back to the dojo while Brock and Misty trail behind. Here they discover that Kenzo is not quite as bereft of a successor as his words would suggest, as they meet his granddaughter Chigusa, who does not take kindly to the idea of some stranger coming in and stealing her birthright. Having no desire to do so either, Ash questions why she can't take over, though sternly, Kenzo states that she does not respect martial arts, only caring for if a Pokemon's moves look good. A little savagely, the black-haired boy suggests that maybe Kenzo should be a better teacher then, having seen from his Pokemon that very different personalities can learn from each other if they try hard enough. This understandably earns ire from both grandfather and granddaughter alike, who both feel they are completely in the right, though before they can unite over pummeling Ash, a newcomer arrives at the dojo, introducing himself as Shiro, and stating that if the other boy won't take on the role of Shihan, he will. Having a bad feeling about this guy, Chigusa agrees to battle him for the title, with the match initially not going in her favour, as his Hitmonlee vastly overpowers her Hitmontop. In a surprise twist, the arrival of Team Rocket therefore comes as something of a blessing, since while Ash and Co do need to fight them off, the toll of the battle prompts Shiro to postpone the rest of his match with Chigusa until tomorrow morning. Having seen the girl's poor performance in the battle so far, Ash suggests that maybe he could mentor her for tomorrow's match, something Chigusa gratefully accepts, with Primeape being picked as the Pokemon to guide Hitmontop. Thanks to its experience as a teacher, this goes better than in canon, with Chigusa and her partner coming to finally understand some of what they weren't seeing before, so when they resume their battle the next morning, they easily prevail. Not only that, but recognizing his granddaughter's growth, Kenzo finally acknowledges her as a worthy candidate to succeed him, albeit with more training, so that as Ash, Brock, and Misty leave the dojo, they are confident it has a bright future ahead of it. From here, things resume their canon path for the rest of the journey to Ecruteak, with not much of note happening beyond a brief reunion with Gary in which the gang learn his Eevee has evolved into Umbreon, and become much stronger as a result. Nonetheless, due to needing to fix a blackout, the pair do not battle, instead working together and then partying amiably. Following this, the trio at last arrive in Ecruteak City, and after learning the gym leader Morty is a ghost-type user, Ash makes the call to bring back Noctowl, though this does mean Primeape will be sent back to the lab in its place. Understanding Ash's desire for a well-rotated team, the pig monkey does not object, accepting the news stoically and taking its place as a reserve for the time being. Fortunately, this does not mean it will be doing nothing during its time away, as with Bulbasaur and Heracross already back at the lab, Primeape has a pair of strong training partners waiting for it, not to mention the 30 Tauros, all of whom are eager to take another shot at their de facto leader. As a result, Primeape has plenty to keep it busy, so that when Ash calls it back several weeks later, it hardly feels as though any time has passed at all. However, this impression will soon be challenged, as when the pig monkey reunites with its friends, it sees one considerable change to the lineup. Chikorita has evolved into a powerful looking Bayleaf, with the Kanto fighter feeling an immense pride for how much its student has developed in his absence. Evidently, the feeling is mutual, as Bayleaf along with Charizard and even Ash himself comment that they can see Primeape's grown a lot since Ecruteak as well, which is good news since the boy's gonna need it at its best for what's about to come. As it turns out, the reason Ash has called it back is for a gym battle against Chuck, the leader of the Cianwood Gym and a fighting type specialist, meaning there's no one better than Primeape to help tackle this foe. As this is a 2v2, the piggish pugilist is being paired with Bayleaf, a decision neither Pokemon has any complaint about, with the plan being that Primeape will go first, then if it is defeated or needs a break, Bayleaf will tag it out. Liking the sound of this, Master and student both prepare to battle, something Ash likes to see and tells them as much before proceeding to Chuck's gym, which is designed like an old school martial arts dojo. As planned, Primeape is called out first, with its opponent being a Poliwrath who wastes no time in readying a powerful focus punch the pig monkey only avoids because of its long wind-up time. Nonetheless, Chuck yells at his friend that it did well, with him next commanding it to use Surf so it can zip across the field and shoulder barge its foe for a decent hit. However, this is not enough to keep a fighter like Primeape down, with it paying this blow back in kind a moment later as it slams a mega kick into the tadpole Pokemon's rotund tum so like its trainers. Wincing sympathetically as he clutches his own belly, the gym leader urges Poliwrath to hang tough and to show Primeape the power of their own normal type move, something it does a moment later by striking the pig monkey across the face with Double Slap. Unfortunately for Ash and Primeape, this manages to land 5 times as the fighting type is swatted repeatedly across both cheeks, though more unfortunately for Chuck and Poliwrath, it survives this, as the pain and insult of this attack leaves the pig monkey apoplectic with rage. Capitalizing on this, Ash calls for Thrash, an order the furious furball is all too willing to obey, as it allows its consciousness to be subsumed by rage and a primal shriek to burst from its very core. Then, without mercy or hesitation, it pounces onto Poliwrath, grabbing the water fighting type with its legs, while its fists pound into its opponent's head, quickly leaving it with 2 pulsing black eyes. Urgently, Chuck bellows for his friend to extract itself from the savage beast, something Poliwrath does by blasting Primeape point blank with a hydro pump that carries the force of a fire hose. In the face of this, the pig monkey cannot hold on, though the dowsing is not enough to quell its rage, as the moment it hits the ground, it is on all fours, and begins galloping back towards its foe while that mad scream still erupts from it like a battle cry. However, this time it does not attempt to grapple the tadpole Pokemon, instead settling for bowling it over, as the pair of Pokemon crash into each other and then go rolling across the floor. Seeing a chance to turn the tables, Chuck orders Poliwrath to get on top of the pig monkey, but unfortunately, this is too great a challenge, as when Primeape feels its foe trying to straddle it, it grabs it by the wrist and casts it back down into the dirt where it can continue to beat on it. By now, Thrash is starting to subside somewhat, and with it Primeape's stamina, giving Poliwrath the chance it needs to crawl away from this creature of nightmares, since honestly it doesn't want to fight anymore, something Chuck understands and can even empathize with after seeing what Primeape has done to his friend. However, even a tired Primeape still has some fight left in it, so that before the water fighter can get very far, it feels a pair of gloved hands close around its ankle, before it is seismic tossed into the back wall, where it slumps unconscious. Gulping a little at the ferocity of this fighting type, Chuck is almost hesitant to bring out his Machoke, though having faith in his friend, he lobs its ball into the air, and cries for it to show Primeape the power of their teamwork. But to his and Ash's surprise, it is here that the pig monkey makes the gesture that it desires to tap out. Considering the drawback of Thrash, the Raven-haired boy sees the logic to this and agrees that his buddy's earned a good rest, though fatigue is not the only reason Primeape wishes to retire, as it also has someone it has faith in, with that being Bayleaf, and not wanting to hog all the good fights when its disciple could be gaining valuable experience against a strong opponent like Chuck, it takes a seat against the back wall so that it can watch the battle to come. In this, Primeape is not disappointed, as the grass type fights admirably in this second match, having 2 benefits she did not in canon. The first is that she is coming into this fight fresh rather than needing to have beaten Poliwrath beforehand, and the second is that she has all the teachings of her mentor to guide her. Not to mention, with both the pig monkey and Ash watching, she has 2 reasons not to disappoint. As a result, she puts her all into the battle, with this allowing her to score a decisive victory while showing off her powerful body slam, much to Ash and Primeape's delight, as all 3 of them gather onto the field to celebrate their victory and the acquisition of the Storm Badge. In the wake of this battle, Ash decides to keep Primeape around for a while longer, so that it accompanies him and the others to the Whirl Islands where Totodile and Kingler get their time to shine in the World Cup, before reuniting with Richie to help protect a baby Lugia named Silver from Team Rocket. Following this, it is time to return to Olivine City for Ash's 6th gym battle, this time against the Steel Specialist Jasmine. While Primeape does not partake in this particular battle, its influence is felt indirectly, as thanks to its rivalry with Bayleaf along with its training under Charizard, both of which are a result of Primeape's presence, Cyndaquil has enough strength and experience to not only solo this gym battle, but also evolve into Quilava in the process, so that it does not fall too far behind its rival. This is not the only change to occur around this time though, as up next would normally be the episode Bulbasaur the Ambassador, in which the grass poison type would leave the team to reside at Oak's lab full time, but thanks to it already being there and the lab Pokemon having been whipped into shape by Drill Sergeant Primeape during the Orange Islands arc, this does not need to be a permanent departure. Not long after this is the episode Extreme Pokemon, in which Ash and Gary face off in the Extreme Pokemon race. Unfortunately, this time the change is not a positive one for Ash, as due to their tired Oak's lab, Gary has become much more focused on his training rather than relying on natural talent, with this allowing him and Arcanine to win the race in Fanpe's egg. Naturally, Ash is disappointed to lose, though this just reignites his desire to finally surpass his longtime rival, since now the score is 1 tie and 1 win to Gary. Beyond this, there isn't much that Primeape changes for the next little while, beyond occasionally helping in skirmishes with Team Rocket and training alongside its friends, though this all changes when the group get close to Mahogany Town, as it's around this time they come across a Tyrogue wearing a neckerchief. Figuring it must have gotten separated from its trainer, Brock offers it some food, though to his and everyone's shock, the little Fink not only takes the food, but also commands a Mankey and Primeape to steal even more from the group. Naturally, Ash responds by bringing out his own Primeape, who makes short work of the thieving trio, though when the question arises of what to do with them, a young man in a muscle shirt and karate pants rushes up and profusely apologizes, explaining that Tyrogue's been in a bad headspace ever since its trainer abandoned it, though in spite of that, he considers it a friend and refuses to give up on it. Coolly, Misty states that he should keep a better eye on his friends then, with the young man, who it turns out is named Kyo, agreeing. In fact, he's been following it in the hope that it might join his team, since his dream is to enter the P1 Grand Prix, and he would love to do so with Tyrogue as his partner. At once, Ash and Primeape share a look as they remember their own victory in the last Grand Prix, and how it brought them together as friends, with Kyo connecting the dots a moment later and imploring them for a battle, since it would be a huge honor to face off against a pair of champs. Grinning eagerly, Ash and Primeape both accept, though one among them who is not grinning is Tyrogue, as having gotten back up from its walloping, it now glares angrily at the pig monkey and barks at a challenge. Helpfully, Kyo explains that part of Tyrogue's trauma centers around a hatred of Pokemon larger than it, though wisely, Brock suggested if that's the case, it and Kyo should battle together, since they both want to face Ash and Primeape. While Tyrogue does agree to this, things do not go smoothly at first, with it refusing to listen to its human partner at all. Unsurprisingly, this puts it at a disadvantage against the renowned teamwork of Ash and Primeape, who subsequently wail on it. Nonetheless, the Scuffle Pokemon does not give up, and neither does Kyo, who keeps trying to reach Tyrogue. As part of this, he continues issuing commands and advice, which the little fighting type eventually realizes is sound, and so slowly begins to listen. Through this, the pair discover they have good synergy, even giving Ash and Primeape a challenge, and while the Cantonian pair do emerge victorious in the end, both Kyo and Tyrogue recognize they have formed a bond and make a good team. As a result, when the martial artist offers Tyrogue and its friends Mankey and Primeape a place on his squad, they agree, with Kyo promising that once they become P1 champions too, they'll find Ash and Primeape and battle them again. Getting back on the road, Ash and Co maintain their canon path for the next few episodes, with this bringing them to Mahogany Town, and to Ash's penultimate Johto gym battle. In the lead up to this, he meets Price the gym leader, who was initially cold and distant towards his Pokemon due to his beloved Piloswine seemingly abandoning him years before. However, during an adventure together, the pair learned that it was actually frozen in ice during a blizzard long ago, with Charizard, Quilava, and Pikachu reviving it. This in turn allows Price to open his heart once again, with the old man welcoming Ash to challenge him for a badge whenever he wants. Ash being Ash, he is eager to take Price up on this offer, though before he does, he announces his intent to send Primeape to the lab once again and bring Heracross back in its place, since while the pig monkey is super effective against ice types, he wants to give his newer fighting type a chance to gain some real experience, since this will be its first chance to take on a gym. Seeing the logic in this, Primeape does as its bid, while Heracross and Quilava take on Price's Ice Squad, with Quilava beating Dugong like in canon, while Heracross takes Pikachu's place against Piloswine. Due to the aforementioned super effectiveness of fighting types against ice types, and the training Heracross has had with both Primeape and Charizard, as well as on its own, its gym debut is a resounding success, with it having no trouble going toe-to-toe with Price's ace. Though in the end it is denied its chance at a KO, as when Piloswine gets exhausted from the vigorous battling, the ice specialist chooses to forfeit rather than see his old friend hurt needlessly. As a result, Ash is bestowed with his Glacier badge, meaning his last stop before the Silver Conference is Blackthorn City. Meanwhile, back at the lab, Primeape continues its own training, with this occupying its time, though it along with Ash's other reserves do occasionally receive updates on their trainer's progress from Oak and Tracy, such as when Ash reaches Blackthorn and makes the acquaintance of the Kanto and Johto champion Lance. Unfortunately, they don't get to battle, though Ash does at least get a match with his cousin Claire, who is also the gym leader and a Dragon-type user. For this battle, he chooses to recall Snorlax, with this evidently being a good choice, as it along with Pikachu and Charizard wind up defeating Claire and earning Ash his 8th and final Johto gym badge. While Primeape does wish it could have had a crack at Claire's team to make up for its loss to Drake's Dragonite, it is still happy for its rival and other teammates, with this only compounding when another connection to their Orange Island adventures re-enters Ash's life. While visiting a marine Pokemon laboratory to receive a Pokemon egg for Professor Elm, Ash, Brock, and Misty are informed that a pod of Lapras have surfaced off the coast, with the trio being eager to see for themselves. To their surprise, they spot Ash's Lapras among the group, with the boy eagerly rushing out to hug his old friend, while Misty agrees that it's good to see it. However, the happiest of all of them is Charizard, as when Ash brings it out, it roars with delight and flies above its first student while bellowing praise for how big and strong it's gotten in their time apart. Ever the affectionate one, Lapras nuzzles its head against Charizard's stomach when it flies close, as if to say that it could not have gotten to where it is without the flame Pokemon, and so will be forever grateful, to which the fiery lizard lets loose a torrent of flame. Meanwhile, Ash also uses this chance to introduce his newer teammates to the transport Pokemon, with Quilava in particular showing interest in the water type due to both being Charizard's apprentices, with this allowing them to develop a fast friendship, especially since beneath the more stoic nature of Quilava still resides the sweet innocence and curiosity of Cyndaquil that it has in common with Lapras. Unfortunately, this reunion is only a temporary one, as the pod is set to depart that afternoon, making it serendipitous that Ash encountered them at all, though before they can go, Team Rocket do make one dastardly attempt to abduct the water types. Thankfully, Charizard is there to stop this, as leading its two students into battle, they manage to drive the crooks off in no time flat, with Lapras in turn being recognized as the pod's new leader for its heroism. When Primeape hears this story during one of Ash's phone calls back home, it is happy Charizard got a chance to see Lapras again, just as it is pleased to hear that Ash has helped transport a young Larvitar to a preserve on Mount Silver, which means he must be getting pretty close to the Johto League. As it turns out, this suspicion proves correct, as a few days later Tracy approaches it in the corral with its ball in hand and the news it's been waiting for, that Ash is calling it back to the main team, since he needs it right away for his next Silver Conference battle. And that's where we'll leave things. Which opponent has Ash called Primeape back to face? Why does he need the Pig Monkey specifically? And can he do better this time than he did in the Indigo League? Find out as the journey continues.